What's up, YouTube? This is Kronos from TeamLuckyStraight here with...
Divinity.
That's Divinity! And we're here profiling...
Spellbook, Prophecy, cards that make people cry. I don't know what you call them anymore.
Spellcasters.
Yeah, spellcasters, I guess.
Like
since the other deck was called Dragons.
True.
So we're going to start with the obvious. 3 Blue Boy. If you run anything... If you're not running Blue Boy, you're not running Spellbooks.
And if they're not ulti, you're not running Spellbooks.
That's not true. Ultras look nice.
True.
So I can deal with those. To accent these, we play 2 Temperance, 1 Justice. Temperance is going to make the drops easier for our boss monsters. Justice allows us to search out High Priestess. This is a hybrid build, kind of, where it is running 1 World, 2 Priestess. Both of them are very good cards. World can win games on its own, just by
Except
the amount
when you
of
draw it.
Well, then you can lose. It can also lose games on its own, by that regard. But High Priestess is a very good card. Having a personal Dark Arm for your deck and making more plays happen is definitely a great thing. And to end off the spellcaster count, we play the 1 Veiler.
Multi-Veiler.
Ooh, fancy. Spellcaster, and can help make Tower live. So since it's a hand trap, and you don't have to worry about like playing it or anything. So let's get that off to the side.
Whole 10 monsters.
Yep, because spellcasters don't play larger monster count for some odd reason. 3 secrets. I don't think I have to explain that. 2 master. Also, I think that's pretty standard at this point. 3 library of the Crescent. I know that's a mute point for people that play this deck at this point, since it's always going back and forth between whether duality or Crescent is better. The number of spells that are actually not spellbook cards is very limited in this deck, so I don't see that there's any downside with that card. The fact that it's random, though, can make it kind of annoying to work with. It's a good card, though, and helps set up first turn Fate plays with three spellbooks for Fate, which is nice, so let's get those out of there. Next is the Towers, the Eternities, Power, Wisdom, Life, and of course Fate. That's the rest of the spellbook count. 2 Tower, because 3 is unnecessary. You'll never actually be able to play any of them, and you can always recycle them. Eternity. If you ever need to banish one of your Eternities, it sucks that if you lose that, because it's the only way to get your banished spellbooks back. Spellbook of Power is one of the best cards in the deck, in my personal opinion, because just the attack boost and being able to search out during damage step can be very, very helpful, though leaving yourself open to having to attack to make it happen can suck. Wisdom is our personal Forbidden Lance that doesn't drop attack. Why not play it? And Life helps make comeback plays and make plays all around. Okay, next is the last couple spells, which is 1 Book of Moon, 2 Mystical Space. Sometimes you got space opposing field spells. Luckily, that's going to be fixed in the upcoming OCG ruling, so that's going to be fun. Book of Moon, you can book your own Spellbook Magician, which nets you extra pluses, and it's also a good, nice spell trap thing on its own. Next is the trap lineup. Let's start with the summon-worthy talks. Solemn Warning, great for negation. Bottomless, sucks against Myrmelio, but good against everything else. Compulse, extra deck monsters, get them out of here. For an attack stopping, we play 1 Prison, 1 Mirror Force. I like to keep the opponent guessing on what my deck is actually playing, because if I reveal 1 Prison, they're going to be thinking about Prison for the rest of the match, and they could run into a Mirror Force instead, and vice versa. It leaves a little bit more mind games for the deck, and I like that.
What do you think about taking out the Mirror Force for another Deep Prison in this format with the hands running around?
I've been considering it, but this deck isn't exactly optimized for this format, and it's just been sitting there as I've been playing other decks. But this is the most recent build I've had of it. Next is like negation for effects. Play 1 Fiendish Chain, 1 Divine Wrath. I might as well just throw this in here as the other card that discards. Both the cards discard, you can get the World out of your hand, or dead spellbooks, like a Crescent that isn't live anymore. Both of them are great cards, and they're also very pretty cards. Fiendish Chain, pretty good this format, so I like it.
Would you take out the Fiendish Chain for a breakthrough skill?
When the structure deck comes out, that might be a good call. But the attack stopping is also very nice of it. And there's also a lot of MST bait in this deck, so I don't have to worry about that. And last but not least, 3-0 Reckless Greed, because
Pat Hoban.
Pat Hoban fall into that trap of that money. Well, I already draw enough per turn, so taking a down payment on my drawing per turn is very nice and can lead to some very disadvantageous situations for my opponent, and can help me secure a game a lot faster than I otherwise would. So that's that for the main deck. Let's go on to the extra deck.
That's 40 cards mained?
Yes, of course. I wouldn't suggest running Reckless Greed with anything less than 40 cards. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a waste. We run, for the 2s, Daigusto Phoenix, Gachi Gachi Gentetsu, Herald of Pure Light, and Shining Elf. If you ask me how many times I make these cards, I don't. Honestly, I make like one of them per game, if I even can. It's not very likely to happen.
Apparently Gachi's the one who gets made all the time.
Yeah, he likes to stay around. For a 3, I do play the 1 Zen mains. Helps with dead hands. Of course, I play in defense mode.
I was about to say.
We do play Downerd. Downerd is a fantastic addition to the deck. Being able to overlay into a 2500 spellcaster is just nutsy in this deck, since you don't have that many big beaters in this deck, and the amount of protection that you can get for it is amazing. We play Lucky Straight. I can't give you a reason why. Because it's Spellbooks and I don't use my extra deck, so why not give a shout out to my team in there? For the actual 7s I play, there's Big Eye and Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac. Both of them very solid cards, as everyone should know at this point. And for the rest of the extra deck, as Synchros, Cataster, Librarian, Tempest Magician can steal games. It's literally the cowboy of spellcasters. Arcanite Magician can do some very dirty things. Black Rose Dragon do comebacks, and Crimson Blader for locking out big level decks. Which, honestly, in this type of format, maybe you should go to Stardust, but it works as it is. So that's that for the extra deck. We'll go into the side, and that should be it. We play 2 Breakers, 2 Kaiku, 2 Veiler as monsters to side in. Having extra effect negation is nice when Phoenix Chain doesn't work, I'm assuming. We play Breakers. Breakers pop back row against like back row heavy decks like Hat and whatnot. You know, throwing yourself into a possible Sanctum can suck, but you just got to keep clearing their back row so you have a chance to get in. Kaiku being able to banish against certain decks is just so hard for people to deal with that you got to do it. Again, Kaiku, it also prevents opponents from banishing with their graveyard, so if you're playing against Bujins, they can't banish for effect of any of their little Bujin cheese.
Kaiku, is it whenever he inflicts battle damage in general?
Yeah.
So you can book Spellbook of Power with him?
Yep.
Banish 2 cards and search?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
that fair?
That's nutty.
Yep. So, MST, get rid of more back row, because why not? Dimensional Fissure, unspoken hero of the Spellbook way of life. You don't really need your monsters engraved, you only need 1 engraved to make Tower live. Life is not that big of an issue for the deck, so just taking out Life or Fissure can do a lot of damage to certain decks, if you can draw it, of course. I would play 3 in the side deck if Konami was nice enough to give me 3 to play with. Next is the trap lineup of the side deck, which is Stitch and Dirge. Helps against combo-y decks, as our producer is doing right now. He plays Karakuris. He knows how much of an annoyance this card can be. It can stop rank 4 decks, it stops synchro decks, it stops a lot of things. Next is Rivalry of Warlords. Any deck that's not running unified type is going to get screwed by that deck, by that card. Hat is a very good example of that. Next is Surgery, because there are a lot of decks that actually rely on their type as well. Obviously, you're not going to side both Rivalry of Warlords and Surgery, but against like Bujins, Noble Knights.
If you're pro enough, you would side both.
But, yeah. Last card is a single Mind Crush. I don't find it that relevant this format, because not a lot of decks are searching. I am, and that helped, and that's cool and all, but honestly, Mind Crush can stay at 1. You draw it enough, and that's good enough. So, that's the deck profile.
Alright, any final thoughts on the deck?
I'm going to be updating it for more of this format as I get more cards, though this format's ending soon, so whatever. But no, that's about it. I really like this deck. I do like world builds. I might try the Mathematician build soon with Stoic. But until then, that was the Spellbook with deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you guys think.
And subscribe.
And subscribe if you want more Lucky Straight in your life.
Alright, later YouTube.